is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. Just want to say thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. And remember, we are free and available wherever you download your podcast. And wherever you download your podcast, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. We really appreciate you for that in advance. And our public service announcement, if you guys want to check us out on TV, download the app, Amazon Fire and Roku. We are there. So, if you got your mobile device and you're kind of tired of looking down at us, you want to look up at us, go ahead and download that Locked On Sports Atlanta app on Amazon and Roku. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, and if you listen as well, you're all part of the family. Tenitra Batiste is not here with us today. She is taking a little vacation. We have the illustrious, the great, the wonderful Maria Martin joins ATL Day Ones sitting in today. Maria, thank you for joining us today.
I appreciate it. Look, I'm not Tenitra, but I can at least sit in with you for a little bit. I love having you guys on Sports Extra all the time, so I'm happy anytime you ask me, happy to help out.
No doubt about it. And we love coming on, and we love when you come in and sit in with us. No doubt you're going to fill in some big shoes today. Now, the Hawks started off ugly in Madison Square Garden against the New York Knicks, but how did they pull it off without Trae Young? And could Cordarrelle Patterson help extend the home game winning streak against the LA Chargers? And last but not least, and for the culture, Matt Ryan getting buckets in the NBA? Oh, we'll explain. But first, we got to talk about the Hawks winning against the New York Knicks, 112-99. Maria, when you think about what happened in that game and Trae Young getting hit upside the head and the eye, and he actually helped them get into that a nice little run through the second quarter into the third quarter before he went out. But they went on an 11-2 run after Trae Young went out. Like, the one thing that I've noticed about this team early on is that this team looks different in comparison to what we saw last year.
Yeah, they certainly do. And it's funny because you would think that the Hawks should have lost that game, right? I mean, that was the first thing that I thought of. But this is a young and scrappy team, and they're going to fight until the very last second of every ball game. And you saw that last night. It's funny because on Instagram, Trae Young put out a picture with the goggles on after the eye contusion. And he said, if you ask me how I feel like we won. And I said that's so perfect, Trae Young. But what it says to me about this team in particular is that, A, the Knicks don't want to mess with the Hawks ever. This is becoming one of my favorite rivalries in sports, and not just because they hate Trae Young. They have every right to hate Dejounte Murray now. We now have somebody who's going to make up for what Trae Young couldn't do last year. If you remember, the very last time we saw him out was against the Miami Heat, and everybody said, okay, he got schooled on defense. We didn't see anything from Trae defensively. Well, now you've got Dejounte Murray, who put on a defensive clinic against the Knicks, and he had not only a career night offensively, but he opened up every single aspect of his game last night. When you just look at the stat sheet, if you didn't watch the game, you say, okay, 36 points. He looked incredible offensively, but really it was his defense. And that, to me, is huge for the Hawks because that was a big missing piece for this team last year. So you've got a guy who not only can run the table offensively, especially when Trae is out, because that's big. You need somebody else to contribute points. But once again, he's getting steals. He's turning those into points. And he was all over the place last night, on the boards, in the paint, from the perimeter. Dejounte looked incredible. That's what it says to me about this team.
And you know what? I think I noticed something in Dejounte in opening night at State Farm Arena, and because I got a chance to go to cover the game and everything, and I was talking to him in the post-game press conference, and one thing that he said that stuck with me, and I kind of had an idea of it, is because, like, there are certain guys that you coming up in high school that you just don't mess with, and they're really good athletes, and you understand why when you're around them a lot. And that's the type of guy that Dejounte Murray is, because I asked him why Nate McMillan kind of gives him leeway to kind of take those chances, like, and go for those steals and play the lanes and kind of lean off his man so he can go off and go ahead and see if he can get a steal. And he did that last night consistently. And his answer was he he was saying how he used to always play with his uncles. He played with his uncle, so he said they weren't going to pass him the ball, so he had to figure out a way to go get the ball. And I was just like, man,
That's funny.
that's exactly how I thought you were, the type of guy that it is. And that type of guy is the guy that the Hawks needed. When you're talking about being in the series against the Miami Heat and you can't figure out what's going on, or they've taken Trae completely out of the game, that's why Dejounte Murray is here. And I think that Trae said it again on Twitter. Hey, that's why he's here. Hashtag we move. Like, you got to love it. You actually got to love it. So I think that the Hawks are definitely on to something. And when you have your star player go out and they actually go on a run and actually run those guys out of the building, I think that is a very good sight to see, because that defense, the defensive intensity last night, that was absolutely amazing to watch. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing to see. Now, what's going to be a beautiful thing to see down in Athens on Saturday? That is going to be amazing, because I don't know if Kirby Smart kind of got some, or his wife told him, like, hey, you need to get this crowd to this game or something, because Tennessee is coming down there and they're coming for your neck. But he has been adamant about making sure everybody screams to the top of their lungs. And he said, I think he even said, when as far as say, if Sunday you can still talk, you didn't cheer enough. Maria, like, I don't know about you, but I don't know if you could tell or not, but I am super, uber excited about this game on Saturday. But I think the one question, though, that I have to ask you is, what's the one thing that Georgia could possibly do to remain undefeated in this season and get this big win?
Where do I begin? And
right.
First of all,
exactly.
I'm so excited. Let's just put bullet points in there. This is a monstrous, a mammoth, any adjective you want to put in front of it, game. You know, there's never been a matchup as high as this within this rivalry, which is crazy to me, because you think about all the history of Tennessee in the 90s and how good Georgia has been over the years. You would think that we've had a top 5 matchup, and we haven't. And I think one of the best things that the College Football Playoff Committee could have done was put Georgia at number 3 and put Tennessee at number 1. And Kirby Smart did say, I don't know what the rankings were last week. I don't know what that is a lie. That is a lie.
He knows what those rankings are.
100% knows exactly what they are. And the kids certainly know exactly what they are. So I think if you're talking about the football aspect of this game, and you're also talking to someone who was born in East Tennessee, my parents went to the University of Tennessee. Wow. There is a lot of smack talking happening within my text chains of my family right now. This is as big as it gets in college football. It's so exciting. But the biggest thing for Georgia is they need to limit how much Tennessee will be on the field offensively. And that's going to be really tricky, because Tennessee's offense, as everybody knows, moves really quickly. So fast that 55% of their scoring drives this year were under 2 minutes. Georgia's going to make sure, or try to make sure, that they can take away that intensity and the quickness that their offense moves with. That's going to be really hard. And I know that they've been working on this since the beginning of the year. We saw a taste of that earlier this week. They started to unveil some of the secrets of preparing for Tennessee. I also heard rumblings of this whenever I was in Jacksonville, that Georgia has been preparing for the tempo of Tennessee's offense since week 1 of the college football season.
Absolutely.
They have it in practice. And again, it's very hard to replicate tempo of this offense, or the speed of this offense in practice. But they've been trying to do it because it is so quick and they can seriously hurt you. Everybody knows how many points they put up. They also can run the football. Kirby Smart reminded everybody of that after the Florida game. He said, I know y'all don't believe me, but Tennessee can run the ball really well. So they're not just a pass-happy offense. They're kind of balanced all over the place. So limit how much time Tennessee takes on offense on the field on Saturday, and Georgia seriously has a chance.
You know what? And actually, Tennessee is actually running the ball at a bigger clip than Georgia.
Yeah.
Ooh, how about that one for us? Yeah. So that's something that you have to keep an eye on. And I think that Georgia has to, the Todd Monken and the rest of them, they have to kind of find a balance, right? And I know, because you want to balance between keeping their offense off the field and doing what you do best. And they've been able to throw the football really well this year. And I think that's because of what Stetson Bennett has been able to do. Now, I've been a guy that have to give my thoughts and feels about how I feel about that dude, Stetson Bennett. He is a national championship winning quarterback. I will never take that away from him. But he, in big moments, he can turn the football over. He cannot do that. There is no way in the world that Georgia turns the ball over, or Stetson Bennett throws an interception or fumbles the football or something like that. They give that offense extra possessions. That's when you start getting in trouble. And I think that that's not going to end well if Georgia does that. But I think overall, Monken and Smart, they understand what they have to do in order to get a win in this game. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think what people tend to forget too is Tennessee's pass defense is not very good. So if
Yes,
Stetson Bennett can throw the ball on Tennessee,
yes.
they're going to be fine. Now,
Right.
it's funny because you mentioned the fact that Stetson turns the ball over. We saw that in Florida. We've seen some really poor decisions. And it's funny because our insider, Roddy Nabulsi, said, I think that Stetson has about 2 or 3 boneheaded plays a game. He cannot have that on Saturday between the hedges.
Not at
There
all.
cannot be any you don't get a free pass. You don't get a free pass on Saturday.
Not against teams like that.
Go all over you, and they're going to put up the points. And 2, you have to limit how many points Tennessee puts up. We saw how many they put up against Alabama. It was a shootout in that game. I saw some crazy stat where Kirby Smart and Georgia are like 2-9 when they give up 30+ points. You cannot let them run the score up.
Nice.
You can't do that. You got to make sure that you can contain them. But seriously, Stetson, this could be your Heisman Trophy winning moment. He's not going to win the Heisman Trophy, but he just needs to show that he can be a quarterback that just won the national championship in January. This is your opportunity to do that. Take advantage of defensive struggles by Tennessee. We talk about their offense all day long. Their defense is not very good. So take advantage of that.
Absolutely. Now, there's a former volunteer that might return to the Atlanta Falcons this week. Name is Cordarrelle Patterson. We're going to talk about whether or not he's going to be able to contribute, or will he dress? We'll get into all of that. But before we do that, we have to talk about betonline.net. Maria was talking about some numbers, right? So, Maria, I've been looking at some numbers as well. I went to betonline.net, and I started to look at what the odds are for the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, the Falcons were a 1.5 point underdog a couple of days ago. Now the number has moved. So it looks like maybe some money has been going to where Vegas doesn't want it to go. So it's up to 3 points now. So the Falcons are a 3-point underdog against the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm still trying to figure out whether or not where I want to go. If I want to make a bet, if you want to figure out where you want to go, in order for you to make a bet, you need to head to betonline.net because it's the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs, find all your favorite sports and events, as it is the number 1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Also, if you're trying to figure out what the spread is for the Georgia Bulldogs versus the Tennessee Volunteers, we've talked about that ad nauseum this week. Go to betonline.net. It is the top online source for all your sports wagering information, and they have podcasts as well. You guys listen to us for Atlanta information. Go for betting information. Go to betonline.net because it is where the game starts. The game starts on Sunday, Maria, at Mercedes-Benz Stadium at 1:00 against the Los Angeles Chargers. And one thing that I could possibly say without having any reservations about it is that the fact that Cordarrelle Patterson is a guy who's very well liked in the locker room for the Atlanta Falcons, and he returned to practice yesterday. And I think the one thing for me is, I know you got a chance to get out there and be in the locker room with those guys. What were some of the vibes with Cordarrelle Patterson being back in the locker room?
The vibes are always good when CP is around, right? It's funny
exactly.
because whenever we were first let into the locker room, we saw him standing at his locker. And of course, the rules are in the NFL. If somebody practices, they can talk. And it's been a while since we've been able to talk to him, since he's been on injured reserve. So first thing everybody does is rush over to CP. And as soon as all of the reporters started rushing over to CP, the entire locker room was yelling and clapping. And they were saying, oh, he's back. It was the best. So we actually had to leave the locker room with CP and take him to the podium because it was too crazy. And that's literally the effect that he has on this team. And he's just kind of like a cool and calm, collected guy in person. If you've had a chance to spend any time with CP, he's not really like the social media superstar that he portrays himself to be. He's really calm and kind of quiet. But the guys like him so much because he's really just somebody that people gravitate to. And that is huge for this Falcons team. They need leaders. They're in a situation where they've gotten rid of a lot of the guys who have been in Atlanta for a very long time. Of course, you have Grady Jarrett, but CP is a guy that offensively and defensively guys just tend to run to. So the vibes are really good. Obviously, everybody wants him to play on Sunday. If you're asking me, all signs point to him playing. However, you know how Arthur Smith is and how Cordarrelle
Oh, no doubt.
Patterson
Yeah.
is. They're going to
He's
say
not
this
going to
is
give
how the
you
week goes.
any inclination that whether or not it's going to happen.
Exactly. I actually talked to Rashawn Evans on the side, who, even though he's on the defensive side of the football, the first thing he said when it comes to the Chargers is, we might get CP back. He didn't say anything about the
Yeah.
defense. That's the first thing he
Yes.
said. And that's just kind of the impact that CP has. Everybody knows he's a spark on offense, and he can really rejuvenate an offense that sometimes falls dormant for the Falcons. And to get that juice back, I think that'll be really big for the Falcons.
And before he went out on the injury, he was I think he was second leading rusher in the entirety of the NFL. So he was on an amazing pace before he went down with the injury. And I think that when you think about, like, when he was out, like looking at Caleb Huntley and Tyler Algier, how those guys feel, and he even talked about that, how he was just really excited for those guys, and how they say, hey, once we get our opportunity, we'll be able to do that too. I'm very interested to see if CP, like I said, all signs point to that, him playing on Sunday. I'm very interested to see how Arthur Smith uses him in that light, because with knowing what he can get from Tyler Algier, knowing what he can get from Caleb Huntley, and kind of using those guys in conjunction with a nice solid game plan in order to be able to get those guys to where they want to be and to put some points on the board, because you're going to need those, especially if you're trying to continue win home game winning streak, right? Because that's the thing that Arthur Smith talked about before the season. He was saying how we want to create an atmosphere to be for people to come to, and in order for people to want to come there and be loud and be rambunctious and have that home field advantage, we have to win games. And when you think about it, that's what they're doing. And when I hear a coach verbalize his vision for his team, and then you start to see the results of that, I know what that does for football players. From just a covering standpoint, Maria, what do you feel like, and living in a household with the coach as well, like, what do you like, tell the folks kind of like what that means for players and or fans that see that?
Well, one thing we've already learned about Arthur Smith is he's a player's coach through and through. And the guys really gravitate towards him and really believe in his vision and everything that he's bringing to the table in Atlanta. And there is a vision and a plan for this franchise. We've seen that play out even at the trade deadline for this team. I mean, they are serious about the future. That doesn't mean they're not serious about right now. Yes, they're somehow leading the division. I mean, I don't even know where we are in the world in the NFL this year. It's been such a weird world in the NFL, but I think it's really, really important for the players to buy into their head coach. And we haven't really had that in a while here in Atlanta. And Arthur Smith, when he's telling them he has a vision, but also actually showing them that it can be possible and that they can win football games at the Benz, I think that's huge. I mean, when the Saints game happened, everyone was like, oh, here we go again. This is how it goes in Atlanta. You're blowing all these leads and XYZ. And things looked honestly like pretty scary for the Falcons. And now look, they've bounced back. They've been able to win a lot at home. The atmosphere has been better than I've seen in the 3 years that I've been here. I have not seen fans like I have seen them at the Benz. That means that they believe in the vision that Arthur Smith has. And yeah, I mean, it's super important for players to resonate with their coach. And Arthur is doing that through and through.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think that's the thing that the one thing that I really like about Arthur Smith. Not only is he being the guy that doing what he says he's going to do, right? He's doing all the necessary things to be able to create an environment that he wants his team to play in. He's a guy that kind of knows what he's working with, right? Because and he acts accordingly from a coaching standpoint, and not try to force feed what he wants to do. And he's done that with Marcus Mariota, right? Because like a lot of people have issues with the turnovers, the inaccuracy sometimes. I understand that. I get that. I pointed those things out. But I think that overall, you have to appreciate him being willing to adjust to those necessary things. And I think that those adjustments have gotten them to this point, right? That they're 4-4 and sitting at the top of the division.
Yeah, because look, heading into this season, and we saw everybody that they were getting rid of, and how Grady Jarrett is one of the only remaining players on this team that we've
Right.
known over the last couple of years. You're sitting there thinking, how can this team even win 5 games this year? And
Right.
across the board, it was a lot of players who, to be totally honest with you, would be fighting for roster spots anywhere else in the league. And he's been able to, like you said, manipulate and really craft something really good out of players who you didn't expect that out of. You're making a lot of guys better, and that's really your goal in football anyway, is to get guys better and to make sure that they elevate their craft. And Arthur Smith is he does a really good job of actually doing that. Marcus Mariota is not the future of this franchise. Everybody is very well aware that that is the truth.
Come on now.
However,
Yeah.
he's what you're dealing with right now, and he's
Right.
finding ways to make sure that Marcus looks like an NFC Offensive Player of the Week 2 weeks ago. He's finding ways to make sure that
Yeah.
he's elevating the players around him. And that's hard to do. It's hard to do in the NFL. It's hard to do in college. It's hard to do in high school. But he's doing it very well. And I think that speaks to Arthur Smith. And look, they're going to be in a much better position when it comes to players next year and the year after. They're setting up for that. We're slowly seeing that with Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith both. But right now, the guys that you have are doing a pretty good job.
This organization is in good hands, folks. So stop clamoring for the future right now. Live in the moment. How about that?
It's hard to do as a sports fan. It is hard to do.
Yes,
I
of course.
understand.
Yeah, I'm telling a fan to be reasonable. Like
It's impossible. I get it.
Exactly. Right. I get it. But just flow with us. We're telling you some good stuff right here. Now, I'm also going to tell you some good stuff about Built Bar. Built Bar is something that is a bar that is coming from the folks that they have is only 160 calories. You talking about you need something to work out because Maria, I have been on my workout. I've been
You
getting it
have.
in. Yeah. So, I needed something to kind of give me some energy, kind of help me out. Something that had a little taste to it because I know a lot of times I've dealt with a lot of like protein bars that taste like paste and, and they look like paste, they taste like paste, and I'm trying to figure out like why am I eating that? Built Bar is the exact opposite of that. They have the best part about Built Bar Plus is, of course, they taste amazing, but you can enjoy them guilt-free because they're actually good for you. They are the perfect treat, perfect when you got a craving, you need to satisfy your sweet tooth, or you just need a quick, healthy snack. They are an excellent source of protein. They have 15 grams of protein in it. So, yeah, go ahead and check out the Built Bar. And guess what? Not only am I telling you about why you need to do it, I'm about to tell you why you need to go and give you some incentive as well. That's how we take care of y'all right here on ATL Day Ones. All you got to do is go to built.com. And then, sometimes go ahead and put in your order, get everything you need to get. Go ahead and try those chocolate chip chunk puffs. Oh, my God. Absolutely amazing. There's no way you're going to think that's healthy when you put it in your mouth. And when you put your order in, order the chunk puffs, drop in the code locked on 15. You're going to get 15% off your first order. Now, I'm going to repeat that so you can understand. Go to built.com, put in your order, get those chocolate chip chunk puffs. Yeah, say that fast 3 times. And drop in that coupon code box locked on 15. You're going to get 15% off your first order. Go to built.com today, right after you finish watching this show. Now, I think I want to say thank you guys, Locked On Sports Atlanta family, for bringing us up over 4,700 subscribers on YouTube. We are headed towards 5,000. If you have not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting on? Stop being lame. Go ahead and be a part of the cool kids. I know you want, like, if you want a part of the cool kids with high school, go get there now. And once you go there, go ahead and drop in Locked On Sports Atlanta in the search engine. It's going to pop up, and then you're going to see this little subscribe button. Just go move your mouse over there and just tap that bad boy. That's it. That's all you got to do. Turn the notifications on, and you'll get all this goodness each and every day. Now, Maria, this is for the culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, and the culture. Sometimes whatever the hell we want to talk about. But that's just how we get down on the show. Today is no different. Now, I talked about it at the top of the show, Maria, how Matt Ryan was out there getting buckets. And then people are like, what? Hold on now. Yeah, Matt Ryan. He plays for the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, I'm not lying to you. I'm not making this stuff up. So last night, he hit a game-tying 3-point shot, fading out of bounds. And when just his reaction to it, Maria, was just absolutely amazing and hilarious. Now, this is not Matt Ryan, Atlanta Falcons quarterback. We'll get to him in a minute. But I just thought it was funny that a guy by the name of Matt Ryan out here balling for the Lakers, Maria.
I mean, look, why not? Maybe he should switch over to basketball. I don't know.
Right.
It's not working out with football right now. And it's funny because I love that you sent me this video, because when I saw the push alert, I was like, wait, what? Oh my gosh. It was the best. And yeah, his reaction was so great. I love it. But maybe the other Matt Ryan would have that reaction if he was shooting buckets too. I don't even know if the Falcons Matt Ryan plays basketball, but he should start.
No doubt about it. And that's the funny thing about it, because I think Matt Ryan, the Lakers Matt Ryan, basketball Matt Ryan, let's get referred to him as that, so we won't confuse people. Basketball Matt Ryan was signed with another team last year, not last year, year before last. Matt's last year as the Falcons quarterback. I actually asked him, I was like, hey man, you just signed a contract, I think it was with Minnesota Timberwolves or something like that. He was like, no, man. So I think the way he answered, he doesn't probably play basketball that much. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He has boys. I mean, he might,
yeah, he at least play around with it, like not serious. but in all seriousness though, I know you never got a chance to talk about on our show. I know you got a chance to talk about it on your show on Sports Extra, but Matt Ryan being benched in Indianapolis, and when you think about what he meant to this organization, and I know for me, I started to think about it and look at it, I was like, man, that is a bad situation to be in. But what were some of your thoughts when we got the news that Matt Ryan was being benched, and they even went a step further and said he's not going to be the starter for the rest of the year? I mean, I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that I thought was, that's okay, because he's still fully guaranteed the contract that he went to Indianapolis on.
Yeah,
so you can pay me a ton of money to sit on the bench. It's cool. And then I actually was pretty sad for Matt, because I really thought that this was going to be an offense that he would thrive in, and it really looked like
who didn't think that, Maria? Like,
exactly.
Who didn't think
and
that?
we were all thinking like Super Bowl. Literally, we were thinking he could take the Colts to the promised land.
Right.
And it's unfortunate the way that things have kind of shaken out for Matt and Indy so far. Could it be the end? Possibly. I don't know. But then the Colts turn around and fire their offensive coordinator. And I know a lot of people, they want to look at the quarterback and blame them for everything. And that's what comes with the territory of being a quarterback. You are the signal caller. So a lot of people look at the quarterback and like to put a lot of the blame on their shoulders. But it's not all Matt's fault. It wasn't all Matt's fault here. But look, it's not working out for him in Indianapolis. And it's unfortunate, because, again, I really thought he would have thrived in that offense, and it's weird that it's not working out the way that everyone thought that it would.
Yeah, that's like you said, it's truly unfortunate, because those are some of the things that you see the type of career that he had, and you saw that what he could potentially be playing with, and Jonathan Taylor, the offensive line, which was good last year, and I don't know what it is this year, and just Frank Reich and the defense that the Colts had, like. That was basically like a plug and play. Essentially, a reincarnation of Peyton Manning going to the Broncos. Like exactly, almost a mirror that whole situation. So, it like I said, it's unfortunate, and like I said, I feel sorry for Matt as well. But like I said, he's still got his money. He's had a really good career, and I think that 10 years from now, nobody will be talking about Matt Ryan's tenure or short tenure for the Indianapolis Colts. But first of all, I just want to say this, Maria. Like, it's always a pleasure of you joining us. Now, Tenitra, when she's out, I get a little sketchy sometimes about who comes on this show. But one thing that I do always enjoy is when you come in and you fill in for it. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Anytime. I'm always happy when you guys ask me to have me on, and I'm hopeful that I filled in for Tenitra at least half as good as she would. So you can't be as good as Tenitra. She's the best.
Yeah, she's an absolute beast on this microphone.
Superstar.
Absolutely. And I thank you for being a wildebeest. Is that fine?
Yeah,
wildebeest on the microphone. Wildebeest on the microphone. It's okay to call a woman that now.
I mean, it is. I'm going to be a wildebeest now. I love it.
Wildebeest on the mic. Thank you so much, Maria. And we thank you guys for making ATL Day One your first listen of the day. Why don't you go ahead and make Locked On Sports today your second listen today? They got some really cool stuff going on. Make sure you go ahead and you can download them wherever you get your podcast and wherever you get our podcast. You can download them there as well. And they have some really funny stuff. They have takes of the day. I know you can look, you like the hot takes, go ahead and check out Locked On Sports today. But coming up tomorrow, it won't be an ATL Day Ones. It won't be an A to Z with Mark Zeno. It won't be Hitting Hard with John Chuckery. It will be a ATL Hangout. The Avengers are coming together tomorrow for a big, big show. Obviously, we're going to be previewing the Atlanta Falcons taking on the Chargers, and of course, Georgia, Tennessee. So make sure you join us for that tomorrow. Like I said, turn on those notifications so you can get it as soon as it drops. Please come back tomorrow, and y'all don't go back. Please don't go back to wherever you came from. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Y'all come back now, you hear?